In the previous video, I went on a 5,000 mile journey to the west coast to buy not one, but two really cheap Audi Q7s from Copart. The first one was an absolute win. After spending a little over 3 grand on it altogether and repairing a tiny wiring issue in the auction's parking lot, I drove it from Washington State to Los Angeles, California, and then across country back home to Wisconsin while towing a second Q7. This one, on the other hand, was filthy inside from having its windows partially open, had dents on every side of the car, broken interior pieces, and most importantly, no key, meaning that there was no way to find out if it runs or drives. The only bonus was that it only had 88,000 miles on it and had a ridiculous price tag of only $1,200. So I couldn't resist. And now that we finally got it back home, it's time to see what we're dealing with and if I can fix it. So this Q7 is a bit of a mystery, but we got some paperwork finally from Copart, so we'll be able to find out a little more. So it turns out this was a repossession. Interesting. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? There is a Carfax that was provided to the previous owner by the dealership that sold it to him, and I mean, everything on here checks out. We have 3 owners up until him, so now it is 4 owners. There is no accidents. There are some service records. And that's about it. This goes up till 2021 because the previous owner did buy this in November of 2021 for $29,000. That, granted, it did have 80,000 miles on it, and this is right around the COVID times where prices were insane. But yes, I mean, this price tag is unbelievable, so I'm gonna actually show it to you. For reference, nowadays, these Q7s, you would be lucky to get $10,000 for it, even with this mileage. So let's see if we can find out what date they repossessed it. There is a certificate of repossession here, and they decided to repossess it on December of 2025, December 11th of 2025, meaning that the car didn't sit for that long. However, it did only gain 8,000 miles in the 4 years that the previous owner had it, meaning that they drove only 2,000 miles a year, which is very little, but means that we have a very low mileage Q7 that wasn't actually abandoned, which is kind of a good thing because all kinds of rubber pieces and whatnot start going bad when the car sits for that long. So in theory, there is a possibility that we don't have any significant mechanical issues, but to find out for sure, we need to get a key. And in my area, the only way to do that is through the Audi dealer. So in this moment, the dealership is unable to fully finish programming the key because the car thinks that it's in drive, even though our selector is over here. And when I actually try to move this thing around, it doesn't seem to want to. First of all, do that. Secondly, when it does move, it feels like the cable is not actually connected to the transmission. It seems to be very loose. I had to get under the car, and sure enough, the plastic ball joint was disconnected from the transmission. This is commonly done by tow truck drivers, or in this case, the repossession truck driver, to get the car into neutral gear without the key. There we go. Still doesn't want to shift. I wonder if that's because the mechanism here is broken. Another symptom we're having is the fact that the key does not come out and changes absolutely nothing with the ignition. Doesn't crank, doesn't come out, doesn't turn off. The ignition doesn't spin all the way out.
So there's supposed to be an arm that comes up here and it grabs inside the shifter that's got button stuff. So you can actually just move this little mechanism in here.
Okay.
So you can hear it there, release there. You can just kind of move this around.
Yeah,
and that's
okay.
what releases the key.
Okay.
So I think that's what was messing up the key program. Did you ever check oil? Or
I did check oil, yeah.
Okay,
The
so
oil is good.
and safe to start?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go for it. Okay, some timing chain rattle, but okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty normal to rattle like that too.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, 3-4 seconds is not too bad usually. Sweet. Thanks so much, dude. You did great. All right, so huge shout out to Audi Bergstrom of Appleton. I was very pleasantly surprised by them letting me work on the car. First of all, connecting that transmission cable. Secondly, fixing the wire for the TCM. Long story short, most shops, most dealerships will not let you work on cars due to liability reasons in their lot. And these guys, not only did they let me do that, they also gave me some of their tools, which was just so helpful. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. Not to mention that I'm incredibly grateful for the fact that we now have a key for a Q7 that I bought for a $1,200 buy now on Copart, which now starts and presumably drives. That is to be determined. I think this car might have adaptive cruise control. Yeah, actually, there is the control for it. So it does. That's so cool. I have not had one of these with that option just yet. Look at that. Starts and purrs like a kitten. Before we run out of gas, I should probably get it off the trailer and park it. Boy, I am excited. This worked out better than I anticipated. So the issue that turns out that we have here is with the shifter. There's a micro switch and there's a little rod that's supposed to connect the button in our actual knob to the little tab or bracket inside of here, which actually disengages the parking lock. At this point, including the travel costs to go get this thing from California, I think I'm at about $3,200. Add the key cost and the tires, yeah, $4 grand. For $4 grand, this is a solid purchase once it's cleaned up. As you guys can imagine, buying these, Copart cars can be risky business. When Copart shopping, you don't always know how much parts are gonna cost or if you're gonna be able to find them at all. And this is where Partsify can save you from all the guesswork. Now, this isn't just another sponsored ad. I actually liked this software so much that I decided to join the Partsify team and help them make this product as good as possible. And hopefully you guys can be a part of it. Here's why. Partsify allows you to paste a Copart or IA link and uses AI to determine the approximate cost of repairs. Most importantly, it forms a list of damaged parts and decides if they can be fixed or need to be replaced. It gives you immediate access to the part numbers as well as links to purchase said parts from OEM Parts Online or to search the part on eBay. It will also provide the official labor hours for removal and replacement of these parts, plus estimate for bodywork and paint if it is necessary. Now, obviously, keep in mind, this is not an exact science. As you all should know by now, there are many ways to fix cars, some of which are more expensive than others. So there is going to be some discrepancies, and you should also know that this is a very new project. And as we all know, AI isn't always right. But with your support and feedback, we can hopefully turn this into a priceless tool for hobbyists, dealers, and rebuilders. Speaking of price, each new account gets one free pro report for you to test out the software. However, if you use my link at the top of the description, you get 5 full reports for completely free. After which, each report is only 99 cents. And if you'd rather not do that, there are unlimited base reports that will give you an overall repair estimate and a quick overview of what is needed. Now, like I said, there are quirks to still work out and potentially issues that we overlooked. So please click that link below or use my code ARTEMV to get your 5 free reports. And then once you take a look and have an opinion, do not hesitate to leave me some feedback in the comments below, and good luck with your next project. All right, next we're gonna do a quick oil change on this. Luckily on these engines, it is very easy. Everything is very accessible, so might as well get it done because we have no idea how old this oil is and how many miles are on it. And then the oil filter is right over here, which is just very, very nice and convenient. Throw this guy in here. I've noticed that whenever I have a dry filter, after an oil change, it does rattle significantly more if I don't pre-soak our filter. Plus, it's not like it's a hard thing to do, so might as well if it preserves or even gives us a slight chance of preserving the engine a little bit better. We can throw this guy back on and fill up the oil. All right, now we have checked all of our fluids. We have fresh oil. We have a gallon of fresh gas because the car currently reads zero fuel in it. It still manages to run, but we don't know for how long, and I don't even want to risk driving out to a gas station without giving it some fuel. We put some new wheels on it, some random crap I had laying around off of a tow rig. They'll need to get filled up, and technically she should be able to go around the block. We'll just see where that takes us, because I'm at the point now where I do want to buy both doors for the driver's side, which are pretty beat up, and I found them for like 300 bucks a piece. And before I spend the $600, I kind of want to make sure that the rest of the car is savable. Like, I haven't let this thing run long enough to make sure it's not knocking or ticking or overheating. There's lots and lots of things that could go wrong with this, and we would rather be safe. We are throwing a fault for the gearbox. I think that's going to be the next emblem right there. But that's likely because of the broken micro switch or potentially something along those lines in our shifter mechanism here. All right, and just about 9 miles later, she's doing fine. All right, we have a quick development. I did find a couple of doors for our Q7 on eBay, and both of them were roughly 300 something bucks. We went out to pick them up in Chicago area, and here they are. Now, this front one here looks a little scary, which probably turned away a lot of potential buyers, but it looks like it's just a bunch of adhesive from the auction trying to close up the window so that water doesn't get inside the interior. So we're hoping that this is just going to come off and there's no damage to the paint. Currently it does seem to be that way. Yeah, so as you can see, all of this just peels right off. I'm not sure why the parts resellers didn't take this off and increase the price, but I guess it just wasn't worth their time. I think it will be worth mine. Now, the rear door was a little less, like 300 bucks, more or less even, despite it coming with the interior door card and window. So this one was definitely a good deal, at least in comparison. So assuming that this interior matches ours, I'm not even gonna have to take any of this apart and we'll be able to just throw it right on. So looks like the interior is the same. We have the sunshade, we have the Bose speakers, ashtray is good, wooden trim. Everything looks identical. I don't think there's any options that are different between these, so we can just take this thing off and swap this one on. Should be easy enough. As you guys will notice, the interior had cleaned up really well. Volvo has been working away at it, and luckily there is no permanent damage caused by how dirty it was. And then we just come back with a brand new door, and luckily that is pretty easy to install. It just slides right into the little hole over here and is able to hold its own weight rather than you having to bolt it in while holding it up. And then we just install our Torx and the nut and plug it in and it's good to go. Very simple and fast. And ta-da! Don't even have to line it up. All the panel gaps are perfect. Pretty much what there should be, so excellent. This worked out as well as it could have. I think the last thing we need off this door is our speaker. Just a few T25s. Right. And at this point, I'm pretty sure this door looks exactly like our donor door. So all we have to do is just unbolt the same bolts we did on the rear door, disconnect the connector, and this thing is gonna pop right out. Ta-da! And coming right back with the replacement, which for some reason feels heavier. these buttons are not in their best shape. Potentially due to the windows being partially open, they get stuck, they don't spring back the way they're supposed to, so we're gonna swap them out. And to do that, we have to do that with the door card off, because that's how you get to it, in the back over here. We also need to replace the key cylinder for our door lock, which is done in a pretty interesting manner. Come on. There we go. And the way this mechanism works is that you have a little U-shaped bracket in here that will slide back and forth as you pull that out to lock the key cylinder in place. So now that this is pushed back, I can slide it in. And lock it in. After which, we just lower down the plastic cover and put the little bolt back in. We can't reassemble the rest of the door until the new window switches arrive, so until then we move on to the next task. Theoretically, the only mechanical issue on this car, which is our shifter, that got damaged by the people who towed it. So first we need to remove the shift knob, which I believe is removable via spinning this little lock ring. And I think we need to spin it this way, and then there you go, just comes right up. I think this is what they were unable to achieve when they were towing this, as well as bypassing the neutral safety switch, which is actually a little hole in the back over here that needs to have a screwdriver stick into here, but instead they just broke our shifter mechanism, and now we have to fix it. All right, next, this whole panel here should be able to come up, and we need to disconnect everything. Now we need to remove the actual shifter assembly, which I did buy at a junkyard already. It was dirt cheap, I mean 30-40 bucks, something like that. There's some Torx, as well as this little tray here is supposed to pop out, which also has a couple of Torx in it. Get this guy, get that guy. All right, with these two removed, this guy pops out, and we have pretty good view of everything in here. There's sure some stuff inside of here. Some of the mechanisms are broken, and we should address that by replacing this entire thing. All right, there's a few more Torx to remove the little plastic cover. So now this thing is completely free. However, it is a little hard to get it out of here due to just the design of this. I'm assuming theoretically you are supposed to take apart this entire center console, but at the junkyard I managed to fish this out without doing that, but just kind of being a little aggressive with it, a little risky. Hopefully we don't break it. I'm gonna try this once again and see what happens. And that's what I mean by risky, is that you kind of have to get pretty aggressive with these plastics that may or may not break when you do that. There we go. And that's exactly how I managed to get it out before. So now we get to these 13mm nuts that should let us slide this thing up. Weird little design, but pretty cool. Only Germans could have come up with that. All right, so with these removed, the shifter is more or less free. The only thing we have now is the cable down at the bottom that actually runs to the transmission. However, when I was at the junkyard, there was a way to unhook it over here. I just didn't have the correct size Allen key to get this thing unbolted. So I ended up having to unhook the cable from the other end by the transmission, which I would rather avoid doing here. So we're just gonna unhook it right here and then put this bolt back in there. Getting to this bottom cable is probably the hardest part of this because you don't have a lot of clearance. But getting to that little bolt is easiest with one of these tools. This was what makes this job actually doable. A tiny little bit holder that allows you to get into very, very tight spaces such as this. They also make it very tight, or at least they just use some Loctite on it, which It does make it harder to loosen, but I think I just broke it loose and now I just have to unscrew it, and that would be the hardest part. There we go. All right, the bolt is free. Oh, there's also a retaining clip. That's what I forgot about. If I had taken the retaining clip off, that would give me a little more space to work with because that releases the cable. Just has to slide out. There. Okay. And now the cable is free, and the shifter is free. Perfect. And you can see all the little pieces of the rod that's supposed to be sticking out of here and clipping onto our shift knob. It's all just hiding away in here because the tow truck driver broke it. This would actually make perfect sense. Maybe the tow truck driver that repoed the car brought it over, but he broke the shifter, and because of the broken shifter, the company that owned the car brought it to the dealer, and dealer couldn't program the key. Same way our tech was struggling with it. He ended up figuring it out, but maybe that's why they never made a key, because they couldn't get it to program, and that's how the car ended up on Copart. That is a pretty likely scenario, actually. So now, just in the exact reverse order, we put this thing back together. So this guy just slides right in. All right, I believe that was a successful installation. At this point, we just plug everything back in, and I think we're good. I certainly hope so anyway. There's quite a bit of connectors here. Way more than you would anticipate being in something as simple as a shifter. If it did everything correctly, everything that is necessary for running and driving this car is plugged in. So we're gonna turn it on and make sure that that is actually the case, and we're no longer throwing a transmission fault. All right, it starts. It is in park, as it should be. We still have a TPMS fault, which is fine. I think everything else is functional. We don't have a transmission fault anymore. Yep, okay, let's see. I'm gonna try and shift into reverse. We have reverse. We have neutral, we have drive, and sport mode. Everything seems to work. Excellent, okay. Finally, so now I just have to reassemble all of this and we'll be good to go. The car was throwing some faults due to the bumper being removed. I disassembled that to replace a couple of cracked trims and covers, as well as for Volvo to fix the various visual imperfections in the paint. In the meantime, I started on the very lengthy process of removing the adhesive residue all over the driver's door. Alright, we got the brand new replacement buttons. Made in China, but I think they're going to be more than sufficient because it looks like the OEM ones are not very reliable anyway. They go right in here. Clip it in. Fits perfectly snug. Buttons work just as they should. Good clicks, very satisfactory. And plug everything back in. You guys might notice that the car has been getting significantly cleaner. Volvo has been working away in between the shots, frequently at nights when I'm already not here, so I can't really document that a whole lot, but yeah, she is cleaning up really well. The interior, despite being incredibly dirty when we got the car, it actually cleaned up just fine. The exterior has also been getting polished and obviously cleaned, so altogether, the car is really coming along, and I don't think we have that much left. Slide the top on, try and line up the clips to the best of our ability. Looks like they're actually kind of there. All right, I think that's it. So just a few screws left and we're good to go with the door. All right, and just like that, this car is all set and ready. I'm waiting to put some floor mats into this. Those are getting delivered tomorrow. And that's it. We're gonna do a little bit of driving to make sure this car is ready to go and it's gonna go for sale. I also really want to test out the adaptive cruise control because literally not a single one of my cars has had that, and that's a pretty cool feature, especially for a car made in 2013. So we're gonna put some miles on this thing. We're gonna list it for sale because the Blue Q7, I just like it more. As much as I would love to take the adaptive cruise control and retrofit that into that car, it's too much work. And the air suspension plus the color of the Blue Q7 just speak to me more. This car has become my second daily, so I am using it, I'm loving it, it is great, it is completely rust-free. I've been doing as much rust prevention as I can on this car and absolutely love it. So the Grey Q7, as nice as it is, as great as it is to have such low mileage, she's got to go for sale. And I think the low mileage is going to help us sell it. So I'm thinking we're going to list it for about upper $9,000. So we'll say just under 10, and I would take 9 for it. Because honestly, there's really not many of these with this kind of mileage, and the ones that I have seen, I think there's one on local marketplace with 75,000 miles. They want $12,000 for it. So this is a perfectly acceptable price for this car. It has never been crashed. It's a clean title. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Now, as always, you know I like to make my content educational, so we're going to cover all of the costs and potential profits with this car. Quick reminder, I bought it for a $1,200 bid or a buy it now option on Copart. We paid $500 in fees, which is a lot, but that's fine. I'm okay with it. So altogether, $1,700 for the car itself. And as some of you might recall from the previous video, I spent $3,000 on the entire West Coast trip, meaning that technically half of that cost is attributed to each car, meaning that $1,500 gets added and altogether we got the car for $3,200. Then the key was $400, the key programming was $240, so I did pay $640 just to get the key. Battery $190, tires $280, doors $670, and then some little stuff like paint for the bumper, little grills and stuff like that. So $2,200 spent on parts, which isn't too far off of the Partsify estimate, considering the fact that $600 was the key and Partsify does not include pricing for parts that are not on the exterior. Plus, we get lucky with finding color mesh doors instead of having these repaired, because otherwise labor does get expensive. So altogether, we are looking at $5,400 for this Q7, which is not bad at all. Whether or not it's going to sell quickly, we'll see, but from experience, I know that these kinds of cars take a little while. Not everybody loves these as much as I do because people are afraid of high maintenance costs that come with German cars, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. So $3,500 in profit, an excellent trip, and this video that I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, I would really appreciate a tap on the like button and maybe a subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you, and have a great day.